Okay, so now that we have the iron cleaned and it's filled with water, plug it up, obviously. Now, for those of you who have never ironed anything before, it's really not that difficult, but there are a few little kinks here and there. So a hand towel that is made of regular towel material is obviously a thicker material than something like this linen that has a lot of little, gosh, it's hard to see on the phone, but a lot of little lace, and it's very delicate. As you can see, it's very thin, it's very delicate. So, and then there's also material like this that is like a sweatshirt material, but also a napkin at the same time. So for the thicker materials like jeans, towels, I don't really know anyone that irons their comforters, but depending on the material, if you were to iron a very thick comforter, you would set yours all the way at the highest setting. I can't really get you to see that, but more or less there's a max setting, so use that. And by the way, the higher the setting, the more steam it's going to produce. If you want to turn the steam off, you take this button and switch it to the, well, if I could get it, switch it to the off position, okay? So there's an on and there's an off. I'm gonna turn mine back on, and for this towel, I'm going to be using the max setting with the highest amount of steam. A lot of people don't iron their hand towels. I personally don't, but since this is a how-to video, I am going to show you how to. So what you do is first you would want, if you're OCD like me, you can see that these little tags are kind of messed up. So first I flatten the tags. Sometimes, depending on the tag material, the iron, if it's on high, will stick to the tag. I'm not really concerned about tags, but you know, whatever. So I would start with the tags and iron them flat first because I'm crazy OCD. Then, let me adjust this real quick. There we go. Then what we're gonna do is flatten it as much as possible. I understand that that's not always, you know, as much as possible. You don't have to get it completely flat. You can either start in the middle or in the corners and just iron out, okay? If you start in the corners, that's fine. You just start in the corners, flatten them out, like so. And this is an old towel, so I'm not worried about ruining it. But the reason for cleaning it is if you have something white and delicate and irreplaceable, like something your great-great-grandma handmade, you don't want all that gunk from that to transfer onto that. So anyway, now that we have the corners done, you just kind of press it outward. And again, it may not sit perfectly flat, that's fine. Now take the tags and fold it inwards and make sure those tags, let me do this so you can see. Make sure those tags are laying flat on the bottom. Put the corners together, shake it out a little, flatten it out again. Do use your steam for heavy materials like this, okay? Do the creases, and then once again, fold it over, do the creases again. Now, the only time I could ever see in this world, this day and age, ever needing this is if you have someone very important coming to stay at your house and you want their bathroom, their guest towels to look important. Yes, there are other ways that you could fold it. There are more fancier ways, this and that and the other, but we're not gonna go over that today because this is simply just learning how to iron a towel or a napkin, okay? So there's that. Easy peasy, right? And when you'll notice when you unfold it, maybe not so much with this one, but you can see there's creases in it, so it makes it look fancy, okay? It makes it look like you gave a crap. And you can do that with any towels, hand towels, washcloths, whatever, all right? Now, as far as starch goes, and starch is rather important as far as actual linens, like table linens and collars of shirts and pants with the crease down the front. This is rather important. So I use And this is in no way paid for by anyone. I promotions of any kind. I just use this. It's called Stay Flow. You can get it on Amazon. It's pure. It is so thick and gooey that you can actually use it for paper mache paste. It says right on the back. You can also use it as a paint mixture. So yeah. Now there's many ways to use this. There's the light way, which is adding, read the directions, but it says add 6 cups of water to for each cup of Stay Flow. So 1 cup of Stay Flow, 1 cup of 6 cups of water. If I were going to do that, I would just use the regular like spray crap that you get at the grocery store. I wouldn't even bother with Stay Flow with this. It's not expensive by any means, and a little bit goes a long way, but I wouldn't even bother with that. I would just use the can stuff. Medium, kind of the same deal. Heavy and extra heavy is what I use for this. So there's heavy, which is half Stay Flow and half water, which is what I have in this spray bottle right here. I just grabbed an old spray bottle. I put half Stay Flow, half water, and it sprays, okay? For the extra heavy, and this is what I do with smaller items like napkins and stuff, you get a bucket and you fill it with Stay Flow, at least enough to cover, I don't know if you guys can see, but you get enough to cover whatever linens may or may not be in there. So then I take my very delicate items that people want a lot of heavy starch on, like napkins and tablecloths, and I soak them in that, then I hang them out to dry, let them dry completely, bring them inside and iron them. And so that is what I will be doing today. Now I'm going to move on to this next napkin here, which is more of a kind of a sweatshirt material, kind of a sheet sweatshirt. Let's see. It doesn't really say what it is, but well, it says it's 100% cotton, but it feels like a heavy winter sheet or a light sweatshirt. So we're gonna move on to this, and I have already soaked this in that bucket and hung it outside. But cotton, any kind of cotton, jeans, well, jeans take starch pretty well, but any kind of cotton doesn't take it as well as, say, linen. This is one type of linen, it's very thin. This is another, it's rather thick. Just read the instructions. As far as silk and stuff like that goes, I'll probably have to make a whole nother video because silk and satin will literally melt with an iron if you're not careful, and I will show you how to do that. It's kind of along the same lines as this, or, well, along the same lines as this, but you would be extra careful. So, all right, let me put this down and we'll go ahead and start with this. So again, we're gonna start with the tag, except I am going to move this from max, not down to the very bottom, but to the second one. So I don't know if you can see, but there is 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dots, and then it goes up, you know, higher and higher. So I'm gonna put it on the second one because this is not terribly delicate like the lace, but it is delicate. And then now, like I said, I've already done this in the Stay Flow bucket and I hung it out to dry, but I'm going to add another layer of my starch and water mixture to the underside. And because that's wet, like pretty much not soaking wet, but pretty close, you can't iron that side very easily because, I don't know if you know, but with wetness or starch of any kind, if it's wet and you put the iron on, it will stick to it and just destroy the fabric. So I'm gonna flip it over, and again, I'm gonna start with the corner. Now with this fabric, because it's a heavier 100% cotton, I can use this as long as the fabric on the other side isn't wet. And this fabric is so thick that the Stay Flow from the other side didn't transfer to this side. So we're good, okay? So I'm just gonna do the corners first, and then I'm going to move this and do the other corners, and you can see that that tag is still flipped. So I'm actually gonna fix that real quick and then flip it back over. So when I do this corner, the tag will be nice and flat. Now that is a personal preference. No one said you had to do that. I'm just crazy OCD. So, all right, now that that is done, I reposition it in the center, flatten out as many wrinkles as I can, As you can see, the process is pretty much the same for every piece of fabric you're doing. You want to